Linda here, and this is part two of my The Gift of Multiple Sclerosis, Living Fully and Joyfully Without Depression. I'm in the last segment, the last of, what was the name of anyway, my last communication, I believe I ended with the fact that I was introduced to Tahitian noni juice, okay? Well, it was like a fluke. I hadn't planned on. People were calling me as soon as the Tahitian noni hit the market in 1996, but I wasn't receptive. I already had um, a natural herb that I was sharing with my clients, and I was very comfortable with it. So I didn't want to confuse my clients, so I wasn't really receptive to Tahitian noni. And that was in 1996. So 19 at the beginning of 1997, my sister Teresa had a cancer scare. She had a mass that was growing on her thyroid, and medical doctors wanted to do surgery. And so we're talking about the neck area, and she's in sales, et cetera, et cetera. So I was able to persuade her. I was, by that time, I was very into just natural remedies and natural, you know, healing, health and wellness. And so this was in February 20th of 1997 that she was having a cancer scare. And interesting enough, I went to on Valentine's Day in 1997, I had a sales appointment in not far from where I am right now. And my when I got to deliver my product, when I got to it was a spa, to the spa to deliver my product, my nail technician, she wasn't there. It was the lunchtime, and she wasn't there. And I was like, I thought she was expecting me, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so it was at the salon, so I waited. And when she came back, I learned that her sister had just passed from cancer, and her sister was in her early 30s. This was Valentine's Day, 1997. And simultaneously, I found out that my own sister was having a cancer scare. So I chose my sister. She took me to a brunch for my birthday. I'm a leap year baby, so March the 1st of 1997. My sister took me out to Houston's for lunch, for brunch. And while we were there, I was, highly recommending that she try this. What did she have to lose? What I learned from information a workbook that I got from a natural physician in Nigeria, confirmed that, you know, there are fruits and vegetables that will help with our, healing, that will help the body heal itself. So people were telling me about this noni, Tahitian noni, and the product that I had, that I was sharing with my clients, wouldn't help with thyroid, what my sister was facing. So I was like, what do I have to lose? So I was like encouraging her to try it. And we were together again on my birthday of 1997. So I persuaded her to, reach out to my chiropractic physician. He was a natural physician. And we were lucky. He gave us an appointment to come that day. So when we went, he talked his medical language, and my sister uh, understood. And next thing I knew, she was ordering 4 bottles. And okay, so because my sister was ordering the product, I decided that I should purchase a bottle so I could try it. I wouldn't want her to do anything that I wouldn't do. And I'm very frugal, still am. and I had to justify the cost, okay? I was like, shoot, it's my birthday. And usually women, they treat themselves on their birthday. So I just justified the cost that I was, gifting myself for my birthday. And I'm the type of person that if I spend my money, I'm going to use whatever it is that I invested in. So I started using it the same day immediately. And from the moment I started drinking the product, what is it, an ounce? I was like an ever ready battery. That day, like I said, I went to brunch with my sister, then to my chiropractor's office with my sister. And then after I left my sister and went home, I met up with another friend of mine and we went shopping. And then we also went to dinner, okay? And so that was another friend of mine. And then later that evening, when I was done with that friend, then another friend of mine had some out of town guests, some guys that she wanted to show. They were from Europe, and she wanted to show them a good time in Chicago. So my goodness, so I hooked up with them. We went to a Jamaican uh, a, entertainment center and hung out there. We went to an African uh, private party and had fun then. And oh my goodness, I can't even keep up. We hung out the whole night. In fact, we actually ended up seeing her guests off the next morning around, I think it was like 6 a.m. They had a 6 early flight back to Europe, and we went to the airport with them. I had no sleep, okay? And that was again prior to using the noni. My day was over at 2 p.m. So here I was. That was insane. But I knew, my goodness, this stuff is special, right? And immediately I had energy. I was all over the place. I was like ever all over Chicago. I was like an ever ready battery, right? And then up to that point, I had problems with constipation, and I had problems with insomnia, and I had uh, issues with chronic fatigue. That's why my day was over at 2 p.m., right? And from the minute I started drinking the noni, thank goodness I was working from home and unemployed, because in the morning when I wake up, my stomach would be cramping, and I had to go to the bathroom. And it was deep, okay? So at the end of the day, it, it cured, it helped my constipation. I was having issues with elimination prior to the noni. And so that was a problem that was solved. In fact, it was like incredible, because when I first started using it, I don't know, it was maybe the first month, I couldn't even go anywhere without breaking wind. It was deep. It was embarrassing. It was crazy, but it was obviously healthy for me, and I needed it. So that had happened, and then insomnia prior to noni, I had a hard time going to sleep. I don't know, the combination of my mother's life and cancer and etc. I was left with insomnia, and so I had an issue with insomnia. And from the moment I started drinking the Tahitian noni, I was sleeping like a baby, right? In fact, I slept through, I mean, there was what is it, a 5 alarm fire on my block. I had just parked in front of the building where the 5 alarm fire happened at one point, and I was home sound asleep. People blocks away heard the fire engines, and I didn't hear anything. Okay, so that's the Tahitian noni. That's been my journey with Tahitian noni. And first of all, I mention that that same Valentine's Day I had my heart broke. And normally when my heart was broke, I would be like so depressed that I would be stay in bed. I was like, you know, very depressed, and it just emotionally drained. So I noticed when I started using the noni, I was like over it, and that was unusual for me. Okay, I was like, oh my goodness, this is helps with my emotional balance, and that was huge for me because again, I was known for going off. I got Indian in me, and my goodness, it didn't take much to have that Indian, you know, uh, activated in me, and I noticed that I was just cool, calm, and collect. I'm like, yes, whatever this is, I love it and I want it, and et cetera, et cetera. So that was my experience with Tahitian Noni. And the company that marketed the Tahitian Noni, one of the top distributors, he was recommending this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's recommended reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, okay? And, I decided, well, first of all, I saw the book. I was at church. One Sunday I was at church and I saw the book in the bookstore. So I decided to purchase the book because it had come highly recommended. This gentleman was a Black Pearl, and he said, this is definitely something you want to read. So I purchased the book, and it resonated with me. First of all, Robert and Kim, they shared the fact that they had been homeless. And at the time, when I started reading the book, I was living in an apartment on the north side of Chicago that didn't even have heat in the winter. Okay, so what I did was, it seemed like it's getting ready to rain, but so, and that's exactly the book I needed to read because, again, I was in a studio apartment in the north side of Chicago that didn't even have heat in the winter, and it gets cold in Chicago. So I read the book, and I learned that the book was a brochure to the board game Cash Flow. This was in, I think it was 1999 that I read the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yes, kind of storm. And then what happened is that it was I learned that it was a brochure to the board game Cash Flow. So, fortunately for me, in 2001, I went to a Miranda convention in Utah, and they had the cash flow board game there. So, me being the believer that I am, I purchased the game. It was $200. I was like, I got it, right? So I purchased it. That was in 2001. It took me 2 years to get someone to play the game with me. So by 2003, when I started playing the game, I had been unemployed since September of 2002, and that was an experience. And Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, was promising that if you played the game once a month for a year, for 3 hours, once a month, every month, that your life would change. I needed a change in my life, so I was able to persuade like 5 other women, professional women, to commit to play the game once a month for a year with me. And so all kinds of things happened during that year. My father passed 6 months later. We started playing the game in July of 2003. My father made his transition in December, early December 2003. A good friend of mine, a medical doctor, he said he was stepped in and he was going to help me with my build my network, and he was on his way to Nigeria in February 2004. So he volunteered to take, some literature to my network in Nigeria, et cetera, et cetera, and help me with my business, right? Because he was going on a business trip to Nigeria. This was like I think he left America. May if it wasn't Valentine's Day, we had lunch at me and his sister and Dr. Turner, and at the Hyatt Regency downtown, right? And right before on his way to the airport, because he lived in Kentucky, to the O'Hara International Airport, and then he wasn't in Nigeria 3 days before he had a serious heart issue, and he ended up in a coma. By my mother's birthday, I believe it was February 16, 2004, Dr. Turner, it was in a coma. And while they were negotiating a medical vac, he was like the director over the hospital that he worked at in Kentucky. So they were sending him a medical vac to bring him back to America. But before that, they could even get that all arranged through the insurance and etc. He he passed away. On it happened to be my I was working in the law office at the time, and the lawyer I was working for, it was her birthday. So in fact, we were me and my friends were hanging out that night, and all of a sudden I found out that my doctor had made his transition. So that was February the 22nd, 2004. So they got him back here, and wouldn't you know it, it was leap year day of 2004, which is my birthday, right? And they had his memorial service, his funeral service that day, right? I think it was memorial service. I don't remember going to the cemetery. But long story short, one of the things that Dr. Turner had told me is that he was very impressed, that everybody was impressed with the fact that was diagnosed with MS, and I was like living my best life. And he was telling me, one of the last things that he told me was that, Linda, you're a teacher, and teacher, you're actually a doctor, because doctor means to teach. And so basically, that's how I got here. Because when people would meet me and find out that I was diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis, they wanted me to reach out to the MS community. And at the time, I really didn't have a lot of interaction with the MS community, because, as I shared in my previous episode, that my chiropractor didn't want me to integrate with MS on any level. He wouldn't let me. He forbid me to look it up, etc., etc. So I didn't, and so I didn't really have a lot of interaction with the MS community. So when 20 years ago, a beekeeper met me. In fact, and in Los Angeles, California, he treated MS patients, and when he met me, he was like, you need to write a book, because I work with MS patients, and you are the exception. So I started writing my book, but I was still in the rat race. I couldn't really focus on writing the book. I had to focus on keeping the roof over my head. So I started writing my book, but I wasn't able to complete it. And then, 2004, the same year that my doctor, he was a minister as well. I was approached by this company. I got a red, white, and blue letter in the mail at the law office where I worked. It was addressed to me, which was, okay, who is this who knows I'm here in this law office? But you get junk mail. Because anyway, long story short, so in like the fall of 2004, I was approached by this group, the Neo Think Society. And by that time, I was struggling. Oh my goodness. I had MS and I was doing fine, but my cash flow was very, very limited. And so I was struggling out, and I was struggling, okay? And then the Neo Think Society um, promised that they could help me. So that was the takeaway I was looking for. I needed help, right? So they sent me a pamphlet, and that pamphlet talked about a 10-second miracle, and I I applied integrated thinking, and I had a 10-second miracle. I was working at that time in the law office. It didn't even have heat in the winter, but okay, I was used to that. So because I had lived in an apartment in the past that didn't have heat in the winter, and so I was able by Thanksgiving of 2004 to get heat in that law office, and the lawyer was seriously impressed, right? And then the next thing I knew it, I was like, oh shoot, this is perfect, right? We got heat, and I don't figured out a way to get heat into her law office. So the upsell was to invest in the book, right? The book was like $100, okay? I was like, oh shoot, I barely had, I was on limited income, right? So I said, but they said they could help me, and I needed help. I was walking around carrying a heavy weight because I wasn't used to struggling. I used to live in just planes in the condo, driving a Cadillac. I wasn't used to where I was at that point. So I invested the $100, and from the moment I purchased the book, I started manifesting whatever I thought about just dropped from the sky. They say some people in India have the 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 um, the potential, has the ability to manifest stuff like that. I mean, whatever I thought about just dropped out of the sky. So I was like, "Ooh, this will work." So I started, I ordered the next book that they had available, and I didn't think I need to stop there because it's so much more to my story, and this series is to help you. My purpose in life is to help you live the life you're meant to live, minus the dishonesty, because I'm certainly living mine. In fact, did I remind you guys that I'm 69 years young, and in less than about 6 months, I'll be 70. In fact, I'm sitting in the backyard of my longtime friend who who turned 70 2 weeks ago, and she's been drinking the noni right along as long as I have, and we living our best life. So basically, I want to stop there. I just wanted to basically share with you the value that, especially as a person who has MS, was diagnosed to have MS, I don't use medication. I don't use pharmaceuticals. I use nutraceuticals. I I don't use a cane. I don't use a walker. I don't use a wheelchair, etc., etc. So I'm living proof that you don't have to be sick. Now I use nutraceuticals. I'm a vegan. I supplement. And etc., etc. So with that, I just want to wrap this up, and I'll see you on the next episode. Enjoy. Feeling good.